means you need to talk to your students about classroom formality as opposed to casual language outside of the classroom. And I think that that needs to be really emphasized in every class at the outset. Every single class, from kindergarten on up. The way you talk to your friends is not appropriate in the classroom. Classroom is educational, you're going to learn the proper way to communicate. What you do with it after you've learned it correctly is up to you. But we're going to do it correctly here. And that means in writing as well as in speaking. And so you have to emphasize that they speak to. I don't do the, you know, the, hey miss. Excuse me. Boy. No. That's not right.
Dr. West, what's your favorite word?
Chick.
I'm sorry, I was tending to business.
No, I said, what's your favorite word?
Or,
Like.
oh, right, yes.
The Valley Girl.
Not
I
like.
know.
So, anyway, those types of things we need to be constructive about telling the students how they should effectively communicate, but we have to also show it in our communicating. Okay? So you have to, you know, how you treat the students, how you talk to the students, how you write on their papers, etc., can be reflected back to you with their work as well. An unusual feature of math and science is that some students regard them as foreign concepts, the vocabulary of foreign language. You know, I don't know those, I don't know all that stuff. Some words are special to math and science, some are borrowed from ordinary usage, and some are familiar words with new and different meanings. Mathematics and scientific language and writing tolerates no ambiguity of expression or long-winded style. Every word has an important function in the overall meaning and provides essential clues for how to solve a problem or perform an experiment, for example. The more precise and clear the language, the fewer the number of possible interpretations. Now, I know that Dr. West has talked to you about terms in math and science that are the same words, but they're totally different in meaning. And we have that in life, if you will. We have to know by context what we're talking about. So those things we need to work on with our students, otherwise they won't get it. They won't understand that when we're talking about meter in math, and we're talking about meter in English, they're different. One, we're talking about a poem, the rhythm, and one we're talking about measurement. Okay, so they're different. The use of appropriate language is a tricky matter because the meaning of words is relative and situational. In other words, words can be interpreted in different ways by different people in different situations. For this reason, it's important to choose language which is as precise and clear as possible. The more precise and clear one's use of language becomes, the fewer the number of possible interpretations for the message. Consider the following words, and I want you to do this. I want you to consider these. What numerical value would you assign to each of them? If something is probable, what percentage of time does it occur? Without discussion, write your answers on a piece of scratch paper. Just turn over something, write down. There are 5. What percentage of the time does it occur? Probable, doubtful, certainly, unlikely, perhaps. finished, if you'll just put your pen or pencil down, that way I'll know you're finished. Okay.
Arranged.
We'll go back there. Probable. Somebody give me a percentage.
50%.
50. 50 is probable. Who has a different answer?
70.
75, 90, 80, 85, 60. What is wrong with this?
We're all over the
They're
map.
all
How about doubtful? 10,
10.
30,
25.
25. Do you see? This is a problem. Would other people assign the same value to these words as you did? Probably not. It's not probable. Okay. In actuality, the range of values varies greatly because these terms are relative. They can mean different things to different people in different situations. How could one be more precise in his or her use of these terms? I'm going to go back to the terms. You need to see them again.
I would use actual numbers.
Yeah, I would use the percentages.
Assign them a value? Yes.
I would use it in a sentence like, the sun will certainly rise tomorrow. I mean, I would give them.
But
Hmm?
what's the, it might not.
Right.
The rain's down and you can't see the sun.
That doesn't mean that
You
it's
can't
not
see
rising.
it.
I mean, it's risen or going to rise. I mean, you may not be able to see it, but just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it hasn't happened.
In my world, though, I'm a different person. In my world, if I can't see it,
Okay. The earth will rotate on its axis with 100% certainty.
Maybe
There you
it was to. So you just
You will
added
die.
that
Oh my
percentage
gosh,
to it.
okay.
You will
Wow.
die.
there's your 100%. Do you see?
Percentage.
There, you, by the time you put the numbers to it, it's important in the world of math and science especially, because those are your audience, to put numbers to them, okay?
Well, kids have a very hard concept of time, and my daughter really showed this to me, because when she was little, I used to say, just a minute, honey, just a minute, and she got to the point where she would look at me and she'd say, is this a mommy minute or really a minute, Mom? Because my just a minutes could last a long period of time.
That's a good one.
Right, and that's a good one, okay. Each of the following are actual headlines printed in newspapers. Include your children when baking cookies. Safety experts say school bus passengers should be belted. And they did have 2 S's on bus, which was really interesting. Because what does that mean in French?
Actually, it is.
No, bus is a kiss.
Oh,
Okay.
well, we should kiss them too,
Okay.
okay?
Bank drive-in window blocked by board. Okay. It was I think it was the board of directors. But killer sentenced to die for second time in 10 years. Hot dog. Interesting, huh? I dropped off shelf. Okay, do you see that you have to be very careful about how you construct your sentences and the language that you use to make sure that it is exactly what you want to communicate.
And that's exactly what we've been talking about with your questioning strategies and your explanations. And you're welcome.
Multiple meaning words, ideas to use. When students interact with science and math words in multiple ways, they're able to approach words and their meanings more fully. Graphic organizers can help to present words with a range of contextual information. Now, this is so that the kids can see the difference in the use of the words, okay? A lot of times those students are visual learners. They understand the concept of homonyms, homophones, whatever you want to call them these days. Words sound the same, mean different things. But they can't see it. They don't get it. They understand that you're talking about it, they don't get it. So using a graphic organizer can sometimes work. Okay, so this is a lot like Marzano type thing. You take the word, synonym, write a sentence, define, use a synonym, write a sentence, word, a picture of the word. Now, that word may be different in math and science, right? Distance, for example, is different in math and science, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'd have distance, and we can have two little graphic organizers here. One with the definition for math, and one for the definition of science, and they can picture the two different words, or the same word used differently. While reading an article or a text, students can fill in the multiple meaning word chart. The page number where they found the word, the definition, the first definition, the one that's commonly used, and then the definition or the context that it's used in. It could be totally different. Yeah, oh, well that word I've heard before, but it was meant this. What does this mean?
Actually, you could have a third column in that one definition might be a commonly used definition, and one might be a science, and one might be a math.
Right. So all of those types of ideas. On page 4, I saw the word rock. I commonly think of rock as moving back and forth, like in a rocking chair. However, rock in the reading meant a mineral, water composition, blah, blah, blah. So you can have it that way. And as Dr. West said, you can have another definition, you know, math, science.
And what's nice about this is that the kids do their own. You're gonna have some real sharp readers, you know, and have excellent vocabulary, and maybe they won't write as many, but another kid's gonna write them. Then you become aware of more words maybe you hadn't thought about, or you taken for granted that everyone knew rock was a mineral, you know, and no one else knew it or something. So it helps you as an instructor.
Same idea, different way. And this is something somewhat like Dr. West is saying, the math concept, and you could do science concept and have the different words and have them define them. Perimeter, meter. Using previous concepts, you can give students 3x5 cards, colored paper, you know, something that's different, and have each student find a word, chart the word, then post the card on a wall. You can have a word wall. It's very colorful. Another little open house hint, you know, colorful word wall. And words that they found, you can have them post. Remember, they could have that chart with the picture, you know, where they picture the word as well as the definition and the synonyms.
I was just gonna share, because my room has, we have a lot of windows and not a whole lot of walls, and the fire marshal says you can only have 10% of your wall covered. So with my word,
80%.
so with my word wall, I take all those words that were underneath that particular concept, and I make a collage on a piece of big construction paper, and then put the concept that we were talking about, and then just put that one poster on the wall, so that they can make reference back to it.
Do you have blinds on your windows?
Verticals going this way.
well, you can still use verticals. We used clothespins. And just, on the blinds, it was great. We just used the blinds.
Have you ever thought about, we used to also use our hallways outside our room and put stuff up. We posted up outside our room, so kids walking down the hall.
They might learn something
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
by
just
accident.
By accident, but, yeah, and someone's gonna say, hey, look, my stuff's up there.
Actually, the state fire marshal rules are 30%. You can have no more than 30% of your walls. You may have local restrictions. So it's not Comal, it's not you're talking about the county fire marshal. Yeah, the state restriction is 30% of your wall.
This is
Cannot be covered, more than 30% of your wall cannot be covered by paper products, to have very precise language.
This is not a new idea by any means. A teacher that some of you may know, her name is Susie Red, would take a hanger and fold butcher paper, chart paper around it, and that word wall. And whenever you needed it, you could put it in your closet, pull it out when you needed it, because I get real distracted when stuff's all over the wall. And I know a lot of my kids in my classroom do too. So when we were doing, observations in science, we'd get out our observation wall hangings and just hang them up on the board on the hooks, just right up there. And then when you're done, you take them down and you put it back in your closet. And they're hangers, so, with pictures.
Yes.
not with
I just
pictures.
wanted to share, for, the last school I was at, if you can get your whole school involved, we had vocabulary words in the bathroom. We had in the, like on the stalls, and so the kids would come back and I ran about, so.
Yeah, ours were called potty times.
Yes,
And they would post them right inside the stall.
Yeah.
And it would be a story, it'd be the word and how it's used, etc.
And then we even had, like even with the PE and the other classes, we took the words that worked in those subjects and gave them our word wall. Like if we had our word wall up, we just make a colored copy for them and they'd put it up in the gym. So like for PE, they had acceleration in there and force and motion. And then in the history hallway, because like revolution is a tricky word for science and history, they had revolution in their hallway. So but I mean, you gotta get all the school to kind of go into that.
We were talking the other day, Virginia's video class, or visual media class, did vocabulary for the school, and because they had announcements. And they would do, it's kind of the Marzano, I think, but they would act out the words. Every single student in school would know what undulation means. Because a kid literally went down the hall on his belly, undulating, and it had different definitions, etc. And so the science teachers would give them the words that they wanted that were difficult, but they were SAT words. And they'd say, here, Virginia, try these. And so she would say, okay, and she'd give them to the kids and they would say, oh, wow. Talisman. I mean, there were lots of them. And all the kids knew those words by the end of the day because they laughed and, thought it was hysterical that they could remember it. Okay. Do you have any questions about what we've covered today? Wow, look how smart they are. Woohoo! Is there any problem that you foresee in trying to get writing into your lesson, even if it's just pointing your questions differently?
I think the only concern I would have is just adding more things to grade.
Well, you're
Versus
not,
not just,
it's
okay.
just grading it differently. You're asking the same questions, you're just asking for them to be answered differently.
I've been thinking through this. I have to make a foldable journal. This is what they write in, but I'm going to use I'm going to use like 5 different colors, and there's at least, in Divine, sometimes we have 6 each for 5 weeks, or sometimes with the 7. But I'll collect like 4 of them or 5 of them, and then I'll have a copy in and I use a grade book, I'm sorry.
I don't apologize.
But anyway, in one column, that'll be their test grade. I'll use it as a test grade. And then as I grade those colors, I put them in, so then that way I've solved my grading problem.
if y'all will take a look at this packet, just real quick, there's some things that we really want to look at. And if you, go past the graphic organizer, how to write a summary. You know, is, it's sort of a really neat step process. And if you see, then on the next page, we gave a template to help you get started, to go through, to write a summary. And then we gave even a student example, and then the finished paragraph. So that helps. And then reflecting on bright ideas, something maybe you might want to do. Your kick it out, admit, another way of doing a exit or admit. Then these are the things that Dan referred to earlier about your transitions.
Sometimes students don't use transitional words because they don't know them. They just don't know. You go, well, what means and? I mean, and. What else can I say? Well, what else can you say? Furthermore, what else? In addition to? Okay, so if you equip them, arm them, give them the arsenal they need, okay? Also, in the second packet that you got today.
Can we stop for a moment on this? In introduction, in that same list that we were just talking about, there's like in there. So instead of using like, we might suggest to our students that they, I guess adults too, and make some kind of substitution so that every other,
Like word and not like.
well, it's not every other word, but it's pretty close to it if you start listening to ourselves, and I've caught it, I've caught the disease myself. But we try to wear rubber bands where we're popping ourselves, right? And then, are you on another packet? Because I want to go back to some, you're the same packet?
No, I'm on another, I'm about to switch to another one.
Okay, so in the same packet, this graphic organizer here, I labeled it as we were talking. The first one is the research question. The second box there, well, how would you label that?
Procedure.
How to use graphic organizers is the title of the page. Looks like this.
You're on the right one.
So the first box I labeled as the research question. So what would you label the second box? Right, methods or procedures. And the third box? Your results.
Results, right.
Like, it could be the observations, yeah. And then the last one? Your conclusion.